There we are. Good morning, everyone. How are you? How's it going? Hey, good morning, Ari. Jonathan, Howard. Good, good. Morning, Peter, John, Chris. Let's see. I'm just trying something real quick. Let's see if this speeds things up a little bit. Yeah, good. Google's getting, our Ninja's getting all the traffic now. Actually, it says that Slack is taking up the majority of my bandwidth. Even when broadcasting Zoom. Gosh, I really don't like Slack. All right. This thing should be good now. All right, so the ES is is pushing back up, but it's pushing up into what I think is about to be a high. Seem to have lost my S&P data. How's that? Wonder why in the world that would be. That's the main one I wanted to look at. Well, so this could very well be the fifth wave, but I'm just not convinced of it yet. So this is going to be tricky in here. Hey, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How you guys doing? I think this is potentially a triangle that we're going into. Let's see. Yeah. So this could be C. We might be doing a D and an E. This would have to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 up just past 3,700, pretty much. I'm going to do this count on my RTH chart in a second. So if E is a little bit higher, let's say it's up in here. Yeah, that would make the fifth wave 161.8 of 1. Yeah, it's the only thing I don't like about it. It makes the 1 through 3 it's kind of a massive fourth wave, really. Could be counting it wrong, and if I am, then we're about to be putting in a high basically right now. Something is going on with my data here. Hang on one second. I've already changed this twice now. No way. It's set to merge back adjusted. Unbelievable. It's the third time I've had to change it. I don't know what's going on with this thing. Oh my goodness. So the problem with that is when it's set to back adjust all the contracts, you don't have the actual price that was traded for that contract at that time. It looks least like the actual S&P 500. And now it'll load. That's unbelievable. Huh. So the index data doesn't load. Well, it's not loading anyway. Give me 1 minute. I'm going to have to restart this. Thankfully, it doesn't take nearly as long now. I'm testing this other workspace. This is the final one. Thank you. Yep, it ate it. That's what I figured. All right. I know what eats the workspaces now. All right, let's do this. Let's start with crude real fast. So crude has made a major high back here, in case you didn't know. I'm sure most of you have been watching it, but you can see we're almost right back at that high. And I was thinking that this was maybe the first leg of a larger wave 2 down. That would be B. That would make 5 down for C. But I don't know. Then I kind of shifted my thinking and started thinking that was the end of it. I'm just not 100% sure. It's a small, technically small wave 2, but it has come back into those main areas, hasn't it? which is the previous fourth wave of 1 lesser degree. And it's even come back near that fourth wave of the fourth of the third, that triangle there. And if I bring this up, well, then we've tagged it. So if it's not doing an expanded flat, if it's going to go up and break the high slightly and then turn down, if it's not going to do that, then we're about to see what is going to be the strongest, fastest bull market in crude in a long time, probably ever. I still don't think that's right. It's like it's not saving my settings for some reason. Yeah, I guess it is right. Okay. Yeah, so this is I mean, it's already broken what would have been the ABC up, unless it's doing an ending diagonal for C, which it could very well be. If that's the case, then we've got a little ABC down now, and then one more ABC up that will likely tick out this high at 43.78. So this was a kind of a difficult wave to figure out, but you know, you do the typical 1 to 3 parallel from 2, and that tells you that that is most likely wave 4 low. I was trying to get a running triangle out of it, and then the fifth wave just makes no sense at all. But when that's wave 4, then you've got a clean and clear ending diagonal of a fifth wave with a total loss of momentum, as you see it just go chopping sideways. You know, average range is still massive, but then you have a wave 5 equals 78.6 of wave 1, and wave 5 of 3 equals 78.6 of wave 1 of 3. So that all lines up pretty well. And then here we've got wave C equals exactly 100%, just beyond it. Of wave A down. This is the only thing I don't like here. We've barely even retraced 23.6% of it. But I mean, that is the target area right there between those two lows. So I think that's it. It's not actually the wave 1 high. The wave 1 high is there. And that's not the high before the low. That's the high before the low. There we go. Now it looks a little bit better. So that's going to be our wave 1 up. And that's either 2 down or that's wave A of 2 down. Sorry, that's 1 here. I just modified these slightly. Another thing about this high that we're making now is we're coming back right into that trend line from 2 to 4, the underside of it, which is a bit higher at 44.10. So I doubt I'll be shorting it, but I do think we're coming into a high. Yeah, and then this was just a, I guess maybe that's 1, 2. If the guys at Elliott Wave were right, which they're clearly not. But that's a really old contract. All right. I don't know if I used the wrong login or what. It's just getting ridiculous, but give me 1 second. My futures data is fine, but everything else is not fine at all. But it was last night. It's just unbelievable. It never stops. Nope, that's the right one. Ah, no, it's not. Oh my gosh. No way. Sorry, Bo. Excuse me, guys. This is a bit bizarre, but I've got it straightened out now. So it definitely reset twice since last night. It's pretty odd. All right, starting in about 15 minutes or so, I'm going to spend about an hour going through the methodology. Why is it that I would have just called a high in the ES above, just slightly above 87, which was the previous gap, and why it might go down from here, and why it actually has a trade set up short at that exact spot, and what the operative time frame for that trade would be and why. And then after the next low, why I might be expecting a trade long on, say, the hourly or the 4-hour chart or 2-hour chart. Probably more like the daily chart, but and what the difference is between those operative time frames are, and how we kind of piece together these three major components and confirm the trade with the volume and the momentum divergence. Today, I'm going to focus on what I digged into a little bit last night, which is the operative time frame stuff. The euro is nosediving. So that means the dollar is rising, which means that gold is going to do what? Unless euro stops on a dime. Hmm. Yeah, these are most definitely the fastest workspaces here. All right. So this is the NASDAQ. This is the 30-minute RTH. This is the one that's giving me the most trouble, because I'm looking for a fifth wave that is never going to come on the NASDAQ. So the whole reason I was looking for the fifth wave up is this high. Well, it didn't quite break the highest high in the NASDAQ. And I wasn't really prepared to call that a fourth wave low here. So I think one is a little bit further to the left, but just for the sake of time, something. No, that's wave one. No, I think they count it differently in the NASDAQ, actually. Something more like that. Anyway, I'm not going to waste time on that. I've got it counted out perfectly on the ES, but they're calling this a wave 4, and that's a completed wave 5, or possibly an ABC up. It looks more like an ABC up because it's so crystal clear uh, right to the top of the channel, ABC. So if it's an ABC, then if the banks actually start lending money out, this can be a 3, 4, 5, and then that's actually big wave 1. And then we're looking for a strong 5 wave move down back below this low. That's assuming the banks are going to start lending, which they're not. If they were, then they wouldn't be talking about all these positive cases. Asymptomatic positive cases. So scary. Boy, I just hate to catch that thing with no symptoms. Die from fear. So that 116.18 would be in line with the 50% retracement of that entire move. I'll bet you that's where we're headed in the NASDAQ. If we make a really strong third wave down. I'm not entirely clear on this wave count, so I'm not going to export it yet. But we're clearly headed lower now. All right, let's look at the RTH real quick, and then I'll move on to the ES and start explaining the methodology. I just want to see what this is looking like here. It's definitely a new low, slightly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. But it could be a C wave, huh? It could actually be, well, let's just make sure that it can barely be wave 3 with a massive fourth wave down and a really ugly fifth wave up. I don't know about all that. That's why it's hard for me to believe that it's actually going to go up and make a new high in the ES. When is rollover? Not for another month, right? 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Well, since I had it, I've had incredibly high anxiety. I don't think that's necessarily due to the virus, though. I think I've had it twice, to be honest with you. I think I had it back in January. I think we all had it back in January, my entire family. It's the first case of walking pneumonia I've had in 10 years, 20 years, 15 years. But it was pretty bad. It lasted like 3 weeks. I've never had anything last that long except for mono. Yeah, there's your obvious high. If I were on it, you would have easily had that one. I mean, how much more beautiful? Rerd, tell me you got that one. Cakewalk. Yeah, exactly. Well, they told me I already had I did get tested for that antibodies thing when my GP got it, and she said I had them. Anyway, the PCR test it doesn't test for coronavirus; it tests for RNA. So, you know, it's gonna be tons of false positives everywhere, all the time. Oh, but the new one's better. The new one's better. It's all lies. This is the first year you did get the flu shot. This should have been the first year you did not get the flu shot. I'm not ever letting anybody jab me with any foreign DNA anymore, ever. All right, so let's get on about this methodology now. This is what I was kind of going back and forth between. I had this major alert, major alert. We're gonna put in a massive high and go straight down. Well, I think in fact we may have already made that high. So let me show you what I mean. I shared this last night, but back up a ways. I was looking for one more high, and then once we started making this lower high, it became pretty clear that it was making a lower high at that point. That's a little bit after the fact, actually. Yeah, so this is once we had, that's Bo's count, actually. So once we had figured it out, we spent some time together, Bo and I, and this was the count. This is the way it counts perfectly on the actual stock index. Big, beautiful 1, 2, 3. ABC down for 4. 4 doesn't quite break the A low. And then you go up in 5 waves. I was thinking that might be wave 4 there. And then the very next high was going to be the high. The fifth of the fifth of the fifth of the fifth, which would make for, yep, wave 5 equaling exactly 100% of wave 1. But then we set up for that perfect lower high there, which was here, which you're not seeing. So that's, damn, I'm sorry, I missed your question here. That's the actual parallel. Warning line of the downsloping channel. Not sure which one you're talking about, actually. You are talking about this chart. Yeah. Downsloping line on the daily. Not seeing any daily on here. Bo does some of these ones that are a little bit nuanced, but I'm pretty sure that one actually worked out quite well. I think it just did, in fact. So yeah, I'm not seeing any downsloping channel on this one, or downsloping line at all. So it's not like I'd be looking for a short. It'd be more like exiting every single long position that I had if I had for long stocks. But you're probably talking about this one. So that is the 100% warning line of this low before that high. See it? And then that dotted line is the parallel. Once that final high is put in and then it retraces back away from it, I think 5 bars, then that line will automatically draw. And then you've got a perfect 161.8. Not perfect, but pretty close for the C wave. And now we're going straight down. So I had marked that previous third wave high and also the gap. And that's what we've just pulled back into at 87 and then turned down perfectly. So if we're looking to figure out why that trade occurred there as opposed to anywhere else, let's see. I'm just trying to see how much actually does line up there. So this third wave down is probably going to be pretty fast and long. Possibly more like the 2618 than the 1618, but we'll see. It's just the warning line. It's got to be something more major than that. Not much else. It's going to be on the tick chart. All right, so that is probably wave 1 of 3 down. 1, 2, I think we're still in wave 1 down. Or I'll show you this in a second. Or it's doing a triangle still. I know this is the most confusing part of the entire methodologies, the Elliott wave portion of it. It takes the most time to learn, that's for sure. 1 second. The 30-minute. It's this down-sloping upper median line. From the high, just drawing from high to high. And it gives you that down sloping upper median line. So if I clear everything off of here and I draw from the highest high, I shouldn't draw this one on the 30-minute. This should be on the hourly or the 138-minute. And then actually drag it back to the lowest low, which is back here. Then you get it. See? Trying to figure out the highest high there. It's right there. There we are. Just barely misses it, but then if I use the highest closing price on the hourly or the 15-minute, it lines up perfectly. So I always will at least do a parallel of it and then connect it to the highest or lowest closing price. And it usually falls somewhere in between those two. So is that the one you were referring to? Thanks, Andrew. Is that Corbett? No, I mean, who wrote that? Or did you write it? Oh, cool. Do you talk about Mr. Gates' father in there? Pretty frightening stuff. All right, guys, I'm sorry about this, but if I don't step away for a minute, you won't like it. So I best step away for a minute. I'll be right back. Okay, real quick. This is the main area in the way of lower prices. If this thing is actually going to go up and do what I had expected it to do, this is the low of the morning, and we're about to take off screaming to the upside. I don't know that I believe that that's going to happen. I would like it to happen because I want to see one more high, and then it would just count and look absolute perfection, really. It really needs to do a triangle. It needs to finish up a C wave, D wave. So Let me just do this. B, C, D, E. That's what I want to see. The gap on the U.S. equities futures RTH is way down, but the gap on the stocks is really not that far away. Or is it? Ah, yeah, it is. Come on, baby. 52.75. So that's on the stocks. Looks like a nice ABC down so far. And then there's that. But if it breaks back up above 35.70, then we're going up. If it fails now and turns back down, then I think we'll easily take that low out. I've got a long signal on the market geometry right now. And then, of course, it has totally dropped everything else. What's wrong with this thing? All right, give me a minute and I'll be back shortly. Okay, sorry about that, guys. It took a little while. We should have audio now. All right, let me fix this real quick. Talk about this on Wednesday, but just to give you an idea, that's what's involved in confirming the areas that we're trading. And those would be for the faster charts. And these, okay, are thankfully still on there. And these would be for confirming the larger charts, which is why you have the long signal here on Friday. And you had one back here. You had some shorts, possible shorts. This is only 1/3 of the required conditions necessary for a trade. So this is the final set of confirming factors that you need. So let me just recalculate. Which is to say, rerun this reader manager, which controls all of the signals inside of that Bloodhound template. So you see you did have enough for the long trade there. And that would be a long setup on the 2-minute. No? Yep, the 2-minute. No, it would have to be the 5-minute. That's funny. It didn't quite allow it. Okay. Well, I can understand that. So the reason it didn't allow it, let me just explain this because this is the main thing I wanted to get across today. First of all, this is the market geometry template here. You can see I've got them split up into lower time frames and higher time frames now, which is a pretty big improvement for sure. And I've got all of the readers working properly now. Everything's set up beautifully, perfectly. And there's the signal from the market geometry coming together. And then, of course, you have the confirmation on the row 1. But what you don't have is the confirmation from the actual entry chart, which would be the operative time frame. And the reason you don't have that, anybody take a wild guess? Anybody know why that might be? It has to do with the slope of the move down. It's much too strong to the downside, probably because of COVID, yeah. COVID said no, must get tested first. So it's a little bit too fast to the downside. I'm just checking something here. MGES, yes, yes, yes. LTF, yes, yes, yes. Right. So you had everything but the operative time frame. You had the operative time frame on the 2-minute for a moment. So what this thing is looking for on the minute charts, you see all these OTF Bloodhound templates. All right. This is pretty well wrapped up for 2020, aside from the volume analyst rewrite, which is probably going to take well into January to complete with all the new stuff that I'm adding to it. The complete rewrite as is will hopefully be done by the end of the year, maybe. That might be wishful thinking, but I do a lot of that. Let me change. Tell me if you guys see a change in color as of 1, 3, 2, 1. Do you guys see that change in color? No change. So it's only on my side. That's cool. Graphics cards really do work. So this is the 2-minute chart. And I've added a 1-minute to crude oil. I didn't add one to the 6E. because the volatility in the volume's just not big enough to warrant it. Plus, it doesn't have a proper RTH session. It's built off of a Forex chart, right? But for the ES, the NASDAQ, crude oil, any stock index, anything that had a pit, even though I guess evidently the 6E did have a pit at one time. If it didn't have a pit with a proper RTH session, then I don't have an RTH 1 minute. Okay. So it started off allowing it right there on that big climax bar down, but on the very next bar, this move down was moving down at too fast a rate. This might be somebody trying to get into the room. 1 second. Yeah. Can I call you in like 10, about 45, 55 minutes? All right. Good deal. Thanks, man. All right, brother. My pleasure. All right. Bye-bye. Okay. Sorry, you guys. So we do have an actual trade set up right this moment. I am thinking about doing it foolishly, possibly, but it might just be the trade of the day. So that was, I think his name's Kevin. Might be getting it wrong. The guy at Pure Financial Academy. Super nice guy. What just happened here? So we're going to do an event with them on December 4th. Although you have order confirmation enabled. Oh, I do? So this is actually showing up as a potential long. I'm not going to take it because it's breaking through the area now. Or am I? That 5 minute is just too good to pass up. And it's on both the row 1 and the row 2. Am I lagging? Nope. No lagging today, and I've got 5 workspaces open. I figured this beast out.
Order submitted.
Now this is going to have a tight stop. So I'm in a little bit early, but hopefully not too much. So 11 ticks. My entry chart is technically both the 5 minute and the 10 minute. So I need to have a minimum of 17 ticks, which I have. I really need to have a little bit more than that, but this is one that's probably not going to work out. But if it does work out, it is going to be a big winner. Stop is a little tight. I'm going to give it enough room to break that low on the 1 minute. And then pop slightly. And then I'm going to trade it back above the high. So it's hit the median line, hasn't quite broken the low. Fairly sure it's going to. All right, so I may as well walk you through the whole thing. These are, honestly, I really cannot stand when I've got areas that are nuanced like this. It's just makes it difficult for everyone to figure out, well, you know, how do you choose the swings that you choose? What's the rhyme or reason for choosing that one and not this one like you did have? Well, I did choose that one first because that is the first low, sorry, the first high before the final low. And it actually did give us a bounce there, as you can see. And now it's gone through it, so I work my way back. Ultimately, this is the highest high, but that's at 46. I will have been stopped out at that point. So what I think I'm trading is a B wave low of the D wave, which is not one that I should take, really. But look at me now. I'm taking it. I'm taking it because it's looking pretty good. We've got a good looking C wave now. I see I got into it just as it broke what I think is potentially an A wave down here. Just to mark it up for you so it's clear. This would be a tiny. No, it's not an A, it's a WXY. For the B wave of wave D, so let me see if that's a 5. Then I'm looking for circle 4 low, which means this is A, B, C, or C. I think that's the lowest low. And then I'm looking for a D wave high. Okay, and I'll show you how I manage these orders in a moment. So I'm just back above break even now. So allowing for a little bit of a throw over of this channel. Honestly, I need to allow for a bit more than that, but I'll show you how all this comes together here in a moment. Let me just think real quick. I'm going to do a profile of this entire low. So on December 4th, I was just talking to him. The guys at Pure Financial Academy that have the supply and demand zones that a lot of you have. I know I've spoken to a lot of you that have it actually. I'm going to focus on just the volume with some Blackbird templates. So I think I'm going to join it together with his zones and make some templates for those. Anyway, that's what we were just trying to work out over the phone. He didn't realize I was running the trading room right now. So that's a pretty normal distribution. We're at the bottom of it. It's a low volume node. Sorry, it's the value area low. And I need to make a note of that. The low volume node is not allowed to be any of the other levels. In fact, I think it should be the low volume node of the volume cluster. Or we should have one of each. Low volume node of the volume cluster and low volume node of the entire value area. But it can't be the low and it can't be the high. LVN cannot be value area low, value area high. Value area and volume cluster. Right. Okay. So what's happened? Why are we now getting the signal, but we weren't at the previous low? At the previous low, and good thing we didn't, right? At the previous low, the market was moving too fast to the downside. Okay, so if I were to define that, how would I do so? I could use tick movement. In other words, price distance. But that would be totally inaccurate once I moved it to another instrument, right? If I used just, ticks per bar, well, that would be ridiculous to move from the same strategy, to move from the ES to the NASDAQ to the Euro, especially to the Forex. So it must be an average range, and I don't want it to be in ATRs, which is average true range. Why? Why would that be? Because the average true range includes the gap between the sessions. Well, it includes every gap, any gap between any bar. So it's got to be an average range. So we had to make our own little average range indicator. But essentially what I'm doing is taking the average range distance per bar, which is to say AR per bar. See how it's 16.72? That is obscenely fast. Way too fast. But once I get down to here, nope, it's using, hang on one second. I think it's using this high. Let's see. Nope, something's not quite right. It's not doing that. The ruler is not doing that calculation properly. I don't think. I mean, they're both 17. It's very strange. Very, very strange. Let me think for a second. What am I actually allowing? I'm allowing... Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking, yeah, no. So it's in percentage points, percentage average range per bar. So I was expecting decimals, 0.16, but I'm allowing up to 82% of the average range per bar. This is 16% or 17% of the average range per bar. So it really shouldn't say AR divided by bar. I gotta think of a better name for that. Just percent AR per bar. Just need to add a percent there in front of AR. Yeah. Okay. So it's moving down at a little less than a fifth, or sorry, a little more than a fifth of one average range per bar, and it's licking back 50 bars. Okay. So to be quite honest with you, I'm not sure what the problem was here. I think it's because it's only 6 bars. No, it's because of the range of that bar. See the size of the range of that bar? It's not quite the same size as that one, but it is, I bet you, beyond this 6 sigma. Nope, not quite. Well, what is it that stopped it then? Let's figure it out. That allowed it up into that bar. That's one that you can't see on the chart, but I'll tell you what it is in a second. It's definitely none of these. Trend is in between. Yeah, it's in between highs and lows. It's another reason why this trade's a little bit slightly lower odds of it working out. Let me just put this on YouTube real quick. I may as well, whether it be a winner, a loser, whatever. This piece of garbage. Ari, absolutely. Yeah, man. Yeah, the whole, everything is 50% off except for once you are a master suite owner, you can get lifetime anything and everything we produce from here on out, any service, any markets we do the analysis for 40% off. What used to be 10 grand is now 6 grand. It's lifetime everything. No payments ever again. This thing is not letting me go live, which is eerie because well, it just did last night. Maybe I said something wrong. What do you think? I think I just figured it out. We're going to send an email out about that. I'm going to do that as quickly as possible when we're done today. But there is a code on the homepage, and for some reason it shows up a little funny on your mobile, and then it suddenly snaps and then displays properly. But yeah, it's a bit odd. But there should be a code that you can copy on the homepage. This thing is really just making me angry. So maybe I should just stop. Use TCP connection for sharing the screen. What is a TCP connection? Tell me if anything changes. Does it look better or worse? Yeah, I'm about to get stopped out here. No difference? Okay. And we're stopped.
Order failed.
Okay. Well, that's all right. Oh, no, I shouldn't have taken that one. We talked about that. Well, so be it. What the main difference is between the volume profile and the VWAP. Sure. Yeah, give me a couple of minutes and I'll do that. I am going to say that I probably got one ticked because I didn't leave enough room for the stop. That's actually the low. A, B, C, D. Can't be a triangle. I'm just thinking about what's actually going to happen here. Yeah, I know it's a typical problem of mine. Right on a trade, but then you get one ticked, two ticked, whatever. Volatility is pretty high. It's not as high as it has been though, but it's still pretty high. But I'm not so sure that I was right on this trade. I mean, it does at least have 5 waves down. I'm sorry, a proper WXY now. Let me show you what I mean. Yep, good long now, probably. It's at least closer to the bottom of the channel on the 1 minute. But I don't know that I would call it a good long per se. It's closer to the gap fill on the 15 minute. You've definitely filled the gap, 100% on the 1 minute now, which is to say the actual stock index gap. So this closes right at 4 o'clock Eastern, which is 5 o'clock my time Central. So yeah, it's probably a good long now. So I had called this a WXY. Only you guys that are really familiar with Elliott Wave will know why. Anybody tell me why? I would call that a WXY. And why in the world I would call it finished there? Always early. Well, usually early in front of people. Usually not when not trading in front of people. No takers? How far did it retrace here? 50%? It could just as easily be a zigzag, but I'm going to call it a WXY because, well, it's not exactly a crystal clear, clean 1, 2, 3, but it is a crystal clear, clean A, B, C, and then another A, B, C, and then one more 5 down for A, probably a triangle B, C. So it's 2 ABCs put together. And it can't be a flat because the retrace or the divider wave, the wave in the middle, which is either X or B, or well, no, it's either X or B, and that's it. But X and B can be any number of, any one of the 13 possible corrective patterns. That's the thing. You've got to memorize 13 corrective patterns. Sounds like a lot, but you guys have memorized your times tables. You did that back in 2nd grade. You can memorize some patterns. You can memorize 13 patterns. I got faith in you. No, there is no rule on that zigzag. So the only rule for the zigzag is A has to be 5 down and C has to be 5 down. That is the only rule. There are some guidelines, though. Typically, in zigzags, you have sharp corrections. And since this is rather sharp, I'm kind of leaning towards zigzag now, but either way, it doesn't matter. It's still a correction as far as I'm concerned, and as far as it's concerned for the moment, until it breaks that low at 42. So we got 10 points to go. So if it heads down and breaks 42, then we know we've probably just completed wave one down, and then we'll likely have a deeper retracement back up. And that would mean that we'll be looking for a short, just not until after noon. I think it's making a higher low right now in line with the close, the 4 p.m. close. No, so the only rule per se, no, it's a proper rule for a flat, is it needs to retrace. It needs to look flat. The B wave needs to come back near the starting point of A. So that typically means somewhere above the 78.6. So within this region in here. And if it breaks the high, well, then that can be an expanded flat, and you can still be in a downward corrective wave. Capisce? Oh, man. I'm still tired. Excuse me. Man, I think I've aged myself about 100 years in the past 2 years. Maybe not 100, but a solid decade. Yeah. So the only real rule for a flat is it needs to look flat. But yeah, I think one of the guidelines for a zigzag is usually retraces less than 50%. Sometimes right at 50%. It's usually sharp. Yeah, that working late at night thing is not good, man. Not good at all. Anyway, there's your long. You're welcome. I'll go ahead and get stopped out for you, and now you can enjoy the big ride up. You know, I've modified this to match up with historical trades, and I don't like it. I don't like it. I did that so that, there's a lot of people that'll write in talking about, when I recalculate, all the signals change. What's up with that? Well, everything is real time. So if everything is real time and the signals are based on real time indicators, then you may have a signal occur real time that if you ran a back test would be skipped, because by the time the bar closes, this signal is no longer valid, but it was valid in real time. So the volume is continually updating, whether or not it's a signal bar. It can be one of 8 different signals or something. It's really more than that, but let's say 6. So it can be one of 6 signals. And it doesn't start calculating until half of the bar has completed. I think most of them I set to 60% because I don't want to get a volume signal. I certainly don't want to get a low volume. So you can't even get the low volume signal until the bar closes, but that is the one signal that is calculate on bar close. But so the volume has to calculate on each tick, or else you don't get all the volume. And you want all the volume if you want an accurate signal. That's the high or low, by the way. ES is about to go straight up. So this one is calculate after 65% of the bar has passed. And that is really easy to determine on a 1 minute chart. It just means that 65%, what would that be? 37 seconds, 35 seconds, 36.65 seconds. Anyway, I don't know what it is. Something like that. So after half the bar has passed, which you'll start to see now, once we get past about 25, you're not going to see any signal because there's not enough volume for a signal. But then about now, it becomes possible for it to produce a signal. But you've still got 45% or 35% of the bar left. So you've got, whatever size bar that is. If that's an hourly chart, well, that's a lot of time left for a huge amount of volume to come in and change that signal. Or not. Maybe it's a churn bar, and then maybe the bar moves just far enough just before it closes to cancel that churn bar, because a churn bar needs to be a narrow range bar like this one here. But see, the volume was not quite high enough. It was probably a churn bar in real time for a moment. But then the range expanded just slightly by a tick or two by the time it closed on the very low. And then it gave up its signal. So these are details that you really don't need to know. But for some reason, I find myself continually talking about them. Well, yeah, you guys that actually have the system do need to know all that. But we've got a lot of new guys in here just checking it out. There's a lot that goes into it. And you can see you've got the valid long on both the 5-minute and the 10-minute. So, yep, I got into it early and I got ticked out, but that happens. It may happen to me more often than others. Don't know why, but it's usually when it's in front of people. It's probably because of COVID. Just like everything. So Trump's the new president. Did you hear? He and Biden duked it out in the lawn, in the garden, and Trump evidently knocked his teeth out. So I know, I can't believe it either. That could be fake news. I don't know. What a world. All right, let's move on to another market for a moment. This thing is about to go straight up, in my opinion. Let's have a look at crude. Let me go over your question there. Well, that's just it, Vito. Yeah, thinking and talking are two different things. And usually when I'm talking, I'm not thinking clearly. Oh, Lord. What is going on? It looks real dramatic on that one. And then, All right, so this is the workspace that actually allows me to have 6 workspaces open. It's quite lovely. Yeah, I wish we could see it too. They'd both have heart attacks though, which might not be a bad thing. One of them can't speak and the other one can't speak. It's quite strange. Whatever. They're both actors. Kamala will be president in no time. Y'all better start learning Chinese. I'm out of here. So we'll have a trend line way lower, but we'll have an upsloping lower median line in no time. So probably within the next, it looks like it's making a low right now. If it is, what would it be? It would be a 1-2-1-2. So I was thinking that we were going to make a triangle fourth wave and continue much higher and get an extended fifth. So I was thinking that this would be an A wave down, and then we would have a B wave back up. And then last night I was really second guessing that because of, well, it retraced, I think, more than 50%. Yeah, it's right in that sweet spot, right between the 50 and the 61.8. If it were crude, I would call the sweet spot this area. For most other markets, the sweet spot's between that 50 and 61.8. Very quickly, I had a question earlier. What is the difference between the volume analyst and then the volume that we have built into the toolbar? The volume that we have built into the toolbar is strictly for volume profile. So if I put it on the euro, I don't even think, well, it does work, but it shows us total number of ticks, which is to say total number of transactions. So it's going to show us a profile, I believe, but it would be in ticks. See? So I think you were asking what is the difference between the VWAP from the profile that's created from the toolbar and then the other VWAP, or what? Because you know that this is the volume analyst on the bottom, which shows you volume per bar. And then the volume profiles that you can make from the toolbar, you've actually got to draw in, and then it makes this profile on the right side. Who asked that? Was it Andrew? Yeah. So there is no volume VWAP or volume profile built into the volume analyst yet. In the near future, within the next quarter, absolutely, but hopefully within the next 2 months or so. Definitely within the next 3, we will have volume profile built into the volume analyst and VWAP, and you'll be accessing it from a right click on the button, and then you can draw it. But there's a few ways I'm thinking about doing it. But anyway, there will be volume profile. Essentially, what I had in mind for the volume analyst was every single thing to do with volume built into one tool. It's just taken about 7 years to make it. Let's see. I'm curious about this because what I was thinking was for the 5th wave up, we would have 1, A, B, C for 2, and then a big 3rd wave, 4th and 5th. So if I'm right about that, then we've completed wave 1 down of C. So you see, this I can call a flat because it's flat, meaning the B wave is near the starting point of A. In fact, it's about 90% of A. See? I'm going to leave this on here as I do my little fib confluence work here. This might be a full retracement. Or it's making a wave 2 of 3 right now. Lines. Error. All right, let's see if that's possible. I don't think it is, but yep, it's possible. All right, so it may just be that that is wave 2. I think it probably is. Which I'll put in blue because I'm still thinking this is going to go down, but we'll just see. So that would mean for wave 3, we've completed wave 1 there. And this is an A, expanded flat B, C for 2. And then we would go up for 3, 4, 5. That makes sense? Not really, kind of, sort of, possibly, maybe. That's interesting. All right, I'm just going to leave that on there for now. For this snapshot anyway. Okay, so if I'm correct in what I'm thinking, we're making an A wave up, which probably won't finish for a little while, and then we'll have a B wave down, and then a C wave up, which we would look to short. That's assuming it's going to come down to 117 or so. It's kind of it's kind of weird. Like all the volume is drying up. Well, the ticks, the transactions are slowing down. That one was useless. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I got stopped out of my ES trade, correct? And why did I just hear a bunch of coins hitting the floor? Oh, riddle me that. It's got to be a bug. You know what it did? That's very interesting. So the ES must have gone up. I'll show you something. We're going to come back to you, NASDAQ. Crude is what we're about to work on. No, I really don't know why in the world it would be throwing those sounds. It's very odd, isn't it? Has anyone else experienced that recently with Blackbird? Kind of weird. All right. Can you guys still hear me okay? Your NT8 crash on Saturday. It won't be crashing anymore, bruh. It won't be crashing anymore at all. Blackbird is a bit odd, though. I don't know what's going on with it. It's throwing sounds when there's no rhyme or reason for it. All right, so on the 2 minute, that was the first spot where you might expect supply to come in. And what do you know? You had a massive amount of supply that came in, and you also had a possible short setup. Mike, you're saying 3 years ago? So, like, it hung on to the position, even though it looked like it closed the orders? $10.38. No, it says it closed the orders at 10:33:38. And it's showing a loss and no positions. And it shows the stops as being filled. Yeah. Okay. All right, it's 11:08. I still have yet to work my way through this to totally explain it. I keep bouncing around. That gives you a brief look inside my mind, what it's like in there. It's a bit cluttered. But anyhow, that was the first area where you would expect supply. It's the first area that you have to break through. And we also had enough for a potential short. And which chart would that be shown as being the operative time frame? It's definitely showing on the 2 minute, but barely. So in order to show up on the operative time frame template, it has to break a previous swing high for a short or a previous swing low for a long. And those are intermediate swings. In NT7, we used to have these pop outs where you could right click on the buttons and turn on and off the drawing objects. So that's the next thing that we have to do, and that's what he's doing as he rebuilds the volume analyst. But if I had that in NT7, if I had what I had in NT7 and NT8, I could show you that this is actually labeled as an intermediate swing high and an intermediate swing low, which is why you got the short signal there. It's not a short signal. It's 1/3 of a short signal. Okay? It's 1/3 of it. So you have to have the operative time frame in order to get the signals on these confirmation charts, but then you also have to have the market geometry signal. So at this high, of course, I don't have that because I haven't drawn in any microscopic upsloping areas. So you have to have an upsloping and a downsloping area to get the trade. But guess what? It's really not all that microscopic. On the 1 minute anyway. Yeah, it's not quite going to show up on the 1 minute unless I allowed that midline to be considered the area, but on the tick chart, I think it does show up. Not quite. Not quite. But look at the 2-bar pattern you had on the tick chart. Pretty nice. So that is relative volume on a non-time-based chart. It's the most, that's the second most difficult algorithm I've ever tried to work out. I basically just left it to Josh. But now I'm about to have to actually write it out myself. As we rebuild it. I wrote the specs for, the properties I want and the way I wanted it to work, but I didn't go beyond that much at all. And it took a while. Why is this thing just now showing up? NinjaTrader is sending themselves my data. How bizarre. Did you see that? So this is a potential lower high here. As it pulls back into the underside of this median line and back into the down sloping trend line. I think it's likely about to go down, but we'll see. It's not quite enough volume to break through that. Let's check crude. NASDAQ looks like it's about to break up above it. Okay, crude made a higher high in the overnight, but we haven't broken that high on the RTH chart yet. It's a very interesting spot we're in because it looks like an ending diagonal. Let me go ahead and put the median lines on this. I think if we come down now, which it looks like it's about to, we're going to make it down to this area here. Oh, you guys don't have the RTH 1 minute yet? But you will. Hopefully not too much past 4 or 5 o'clock today. This was the low we were talking about last night when we were going over all the operative time frame stuff, showing that the 10 minute could not be the operative time frame for this trade because of the number of bars. So therefore the 30 minute had to be. Because the 15 minute was because this trade occurred in the overnight session. But look at the low on that. That's just such a picture perfect setup. Look at the relative volume for that. So really big, huge relative volume like this, extreme churn, which means it must be a narrower range bar than the preceding bar. And the volume divided by the range must be towering above the preceding relative volume per range. So this is a huge sign of demand coming in at a low, as is this. So we already started to get the demand coming in here very noticeably. Just looking at the price action, I mean, it turned up, so therefore you had demand, which is a sign of strength out of this low. And then when we came down, you normally want to see volume divergence. You want it to be lower at that final low. But this is sign of incredibly active and extremely aggressive buying coming in. 3.3 times normal volume for that 10-minute bar. And then it goes. So at the moment, we have made a similar looking bar at this high. And if I were to take a parallel and bring it back to the high, there is your reason why supply came in where it did. Let me delete all this. Let me just delete the whole thing. So again, just a parallel, drag it back to the high. It's the reason for people selling that price. It's also an even number. It's 43. And for the low that we actually had a signal for, what do you have there? Nothing from the first high, but it must be on the tick chart. Or nah, it's got to be on the tick chart. That is the high before the low. You wouldn't have had that downsloping channel though unless you used the lower high. That's the trickiness. Guys, I've got a raging headache. Probably because I guess I ripped my CPAP mask off in the middle of the night. So I'm going to take a couple aspirin or something real quick because my head is throbbing. And I'm going to go, I reckon, until 12. Just because I've been kind of scatterbrained today. Tomorrow is going to be much cleaner, clearer, and you guys will be able to follow along better, those of you that are with us already, as you'll have what I have. You'll have the latest update. And if you guys want to go ahead, and some of you I know will want to go ahead and buy today so that you can get set up, I may have to kind of help you this evening because Cedric won't be able to. So if you do that, if you want to do that, just call me after the trading room. I have tried it, and I didn't notice any. Maybe I just wasn't very good. I don't know. Maybe it was just a bad brand. It's funny you should ask that question because they just legalized hemp in Louisiana. Hemp, not actual THC laden resin, but just the CBDs and CBNs. And my brother's farm or nursery, one that he manages, Windmill Nursery off Highway 25 in Folsom, Louisiana, is the sole producer of all hemp plants in the state of Louisiana. So any farmer that is going to grow a hemp plant in this state will have to buy it from Windmill Nursery. And they just planted 100,000 seeds 2 days ago, Saturday. But see, they got to find out which one of those has the lowest THC count, and then they'll just clone that one, I guess. So DEA's got to come by and test them all, and you got to pay for it. It's a shakedown. I mean, it's a good old boy system. It is Louisiana after all. But they somehow, quote unquote, won the bid. Yeah, this sure would be nice if we pulled right down to here. That would mean we need a lower high right now. Come down, hit this area. I'd buy that on the 1 minute. It would probably set up. Nope, it won't set up on the 2 minute. It's not going to set up on the 2 minute because the 2 minute is technically in a downtrend because it made that overnight high. But I would buy that in crude. So I'm expecting 44 at least. Yeah, but they're not allowed to breed it, Vito. At least I don't think they are. They had to buy the particular seeds from one vendor only, and they're only allowed to plant those 100,000 seeds. And then from there, that some agency will come by after the first flower. They're auto flowering, huh? So they've got to have ruderalis in them somehow, but they auto flower after 2.5, 3 feet. Which is weird. I thought you wanted hemp for rope and stuff, but I guess they're only doing it for CBD oil for now. I mean, hemp used to be the major ingredient in all textiles. It's the strongest of any natural material. Well, I think it's neck and neck with bamboo, maybe. No, I think it's stronger than bamboo. When it's woven. And it is the seed that has the highest nutrition content of any seed on the planet. Isn't that weird? And they made it illegal. You know who made it illegal? Big Pharma. The guys that want to make everyone in the world take their medicine. I'll be back in 5 minutes. My head is throbbing. Sorry, guys. I was getting just a bit nauseated from this headache. You know what I found seems to help the most, strangely enough, is niacin. I messed up and got the friend of mine had bought me some that doesn't cause a flush. You know, you take too much niacin and you get beet red and kind of hot, start itching. Well, I got the just normal niacin. That does cause that flush. And if I take just enough to cause that flush, it gets rid of the headache. So I gotta start exercising more, get this blood moving, get these capillaries growing. I'm right. Just in case you were wondering, which I'm sure you were. I don't think crude's going to give me what I want. Not anytime before 12, maybe. That's so weird, man. Every workspace when I made a new, so I'll show you guys something real fast. If you're new to Ninja, well, even if you're not, anytime you have some sort of problem with Ninja and it's irreconcilable, you have no idea what to do about it, rather than just delete the old Ninja Trader folder in your documents folder, just name it old, rerun the installer. It'll say repair, and then you'll create a new Ninja 8 folder in your documents folder, and then just copy over what you need from the old one. And then you'll have two, and then you can switch back and forth. You can name this one old and this one, back to regular Ninja Trader 8, and then you can run out of this one. So if you've got, I don't know, maybe some old DLLs that really just don't work very well with Ninja 8, but you want to use them sometimes, and you also want to use our stuff, but maybe it interferes somehow. Occasionally that's the case, rarely. Then you can do it like that. You can set up two different folders. I used to have 3 or 4 until I learned about virtual machines. But yeah, somehow it knocked off the row 1 Bloodhound template from every workspace. Very strange. Danny, I tried that jump rope and I passed out after 10 jumps and woke up on the floor. So maybe I should just start with walking. Nah, I'm not that bad. Okay, cool. Thanks, man. What are you saying? Peloton? What is Peloton? Sounds like a French word. That'll get your heart rate up. Just take all your money, put in a trading account, and place a bunch of bets and hope for the best. And sit there at the screen and watch it all day, every day. Best heart workout of your life. Oh, it's a bike. You know, I'd click that link. I just don't do that anymore, though. I've learned my lesson. Oh, I dropped the row 2 too. How dare it. I do have a rowing machine. Well, it's not true. I've got a back bent over rows. And I've got a treadmill that's been sitting there for a year that's got 20 miles on it. I guess at least I put 20 on it. It's probably 30. Where are my signals? Charlie's scared to death of the treadmill. He made the mistake of trying to come say hi to me when I was slow jogging on it. Freaked him out. Sent him right to the wall. Poor fella. They're not meant to fly. Come on, Charles. Neither are monitors or computers or keyboards. They do look beautiful in the air, though. Right, Charles? Stop it. Okay, we are going to get this moved down. I'm just going to reload this just in case. Something doesn't seem quite right. If you're using IQ Feed or Kinetic, one thing you never want to do is reload the tick 2 chart or reload any of the tick charts during the day session. They only let you download. Yeah, see? I was missing data. It's my own fault though from having to reset or restore the computer so many times last night. If you ever need your computer to be totally jacked up and ruined, sorry, I get that from my dad, ruined, then just send it to me for a day. Let me have a look at it. I'll get that thing good and messed up for you. Just let me play in the BIOS for a minute. Yeah, okay. I was wondering why I wasn't lining up. Because normally we do. And that's market geometry. Weird, isn't it? Yeah, it's the lower high. This is the difficult part. When is it going to be the lower high or the extreme high? Oftentimes you can tell based on where the channel, the larger channel sloping in favor of the trade, lines up. So obviously as we were going down, you know, that one's a little far away. So you can do parallels, or you could use the highest closing price, but I wouldn't do that on the 2-minute chart. I would do that on the 5-minute chart or the 1 minute. The highest and lowest close, and see there, now we have the long signal. The highest and lowest close typically don't mean a whole heck of a lot on random charts that no one uses. And I would put the 2-minute in that category. I'd say more people use the 1 minute and the 5-minute than the 2-minute. So on the 5-minute, let's see what it looks like. And then I'm going to go because I seriously feel quite nauseated. I'm 100% sure now it's my eyes and these monitors. I've yet to calibrate them because it takes so long. I'll do that after the update. So correct me if I'm wrong, but both of these bars have the same closing price. 43.30, 43.30. So we must use the one on the right. And it just doesn't line up. What if I use the one on the left? Nope. Okay, sorry. Use the one on the right, but also use the lowest closing price. 75, 72. Dun, 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 dun. Viet. Isn't that Viet? Look at where it's turning down from. So I'm going to wait and see if we get this long set up. And I'll take one more loser in front of you guys. and then we'll call it a day, and we'll do the whole thing all over again tomorrow. Except tomorrow we'll make a lot of money. Fake money, that is. Not to be misconstrued as investment advice. I'm not a licensed investment advisor, nor broker, nor CTA or CFA or NFCF, CFTA. None of the above. Nor LGBTNQYZXLNOP. Big money, no whammy. We'll give it a shot. I'm just turning Blackbird on here for crude. Ooh, and I heard the processors take a little hit there. But the fans didn't crank up. Isn't that Fiat? You know, these Ryzens, they say they go up to 4 point whatever, 4.7, 4.9, whatever. I've never come close to any of that. Have you? Have any of you guys? Oh, one thing I wanted to ask before you guys leave. Does anybody have a X570 motherboard that you've gotten Thunderbolt 3 to work on? A Thunderbolt card? I think you can do it pretty easily on the Asus one because they make one for it. But what about MSI? Does anybody have an MSI X570 that you've gotten Thunderbolt to work on? What made me switch to the Ryzen from Intel? Because that last Intel I got was made by Dell. And even though it was a i9 9980XE, the base clock was 3.0. And I don't know what the problem was. Maybe it was me. Probably, who knows? All I know is that was the worst machine I've ever bought in my entire life, and I had nothing but trouble with it. Dell had to send somebody out here to fix it. He fixed it wrong the first time, had to call up his boss, and then he fixed it right, supposedly. And it just got progressively worse. So when we made the move to NT8, and for some reason, I let the developers make the decision on something that was pivotal performance-wise, because it took a bit more effort for them to make it work on NT8. I said, okay, fine, whatever. So in NT7, we used to calculate only what was visible on the chart. Remember that? Changed everything. They assured me that NT8, because of its multi-threading, would be fine without that. Maybe I'm wrong about, maybe I'm not saying that right. I don't know. But that's the way that I remember it. Jared, I wouldn't say that you're better off. I mean, if you're wanting to get one now because of Black Friday, I'd say, yeah, go ahead and get the i9 10900. But I wouldn't get the 10900. If it's just for trading, I would get the i5 10600K. Starts off at 4.1 or 4.2 base clock and goes up to 4.8. It's kind of like the old 6700K 4-core, which was a gem, still is. I've got one that's been running behind me 24 hours a day for 6 years, almost 7 years, 6 years. All I know is that the new AMD 5000 or 6000 series is unlike anything the world has ever seen. So I'm counting the days. I check it once every 6 hours. I had it in the car at once. And by the time I tried to buy, it was already gone. One thing I will say, if you're using multiple displays, if you're trying to go for 6 displays, you want just regular old monitors, 1080p, because having 6 2K monitors it's a no-go. I get lag with even 3 workspaces. I cannot run a 4th workspace. But when I set them to 1080p and I lower the DPI and all that, and get everything set up properly, I can run 9 of these new tabbed workspaces, no problem. Hey John, which i9 do you have? Is it the 9700K? You don't need a program to do that, Daniel. Actually, you can just right click on the shortcut make it high priority. But Ninja Manager does that also. So this is a free tool. It switches back. When does it switch back? If you shut down NT. Oh, you're not starting it up every time with the Ninja Manager. Shame on you. Shame, shame, shame. I love this thing. This is the coolest little program I think we've ever made. The first guy to make it took about a year and a half, charged me about $14,000. Nah, it's about 12 something. I can't remember. It was a lot of money over a long time, and the code was all garbage. And I think Akash rewrote it in 2.5 days, 3 days. From scratch. But then, of course, it took 2 or 3 weeks to get this GUI to look right. Interface. Yep, that's free. That's all free. Ari, if you just go to members, hope this works. If it doesn't, I'll be quite embarrassed. TradeThePlan.com. The best of the best. Yep, there's the code BF2020. You should be able to sign up here. I don't know why that's... anyway, yep, you can sign up for the free membership here. And all you guys, if you want, I wanted to get some of you in the forum, but I didn't have Cedric to help me with that. So tomorrow, Cedric will get you in this forum for the next couple of days, and then you can kind of see how the charts come in. And I'm actually going to start cranking out videos. Finally, I finally have a tool that works. It just works with 3 monitors, though, is the only problem. Until I get that new graphics card. But yeah, once you become a new free member, then you'll log into the membership area. And then just, oh man, hang on. Oh, I always wonder what that KF was. It's without integrated graphics. Only weird thing about it is that Intel was recently hacked. And I don't know what that means. I know what it means for me when I get hacked. It means that 4 terabytes of data leave my network and go somewhere. It's a lot of data. Of course, they did it over a period of about a month. But if you go and log into the free membership area, you should have that installer right there, front and center. But you can also go to the free membership here. There's an introduction, which is probably dated. No, it's not too bad. There, I wrote a little short overview of the methodology. Isn't that something? Bet you guys never even knew that was there. Yep, I do have to update that. Aren't I the arrogant one? Can't believe I actually wrote all that. This is no longer true for the NT8 version, but at some point in the not too distant future, we'll have a pro version of it that will do wonders. It's even going to have a slap app. It's going to have a little arm. We tried to make a virtual one, but it's not working. So you'll have to attach a little spring-loaded arm to the side of your monitor, and when you make a mistake, it'll flip the switch and slap you across the face. But you'll have to set your own logic for the slap app. But that'll be quite expensive. The slap app is going to be a thing of wonder. So there, you can download it. Here's a user guide. I hope. Hey, what do you know? Purpose. It's pretty cool. Proud of you, Cedric. Boy is an artist and doesn't even know it. He really is. Quite gifted, that Cedric. I'd have been slapped a couple of times today, too. Don't worry. It's a good question, Jared. I don't think it would, because it's six cores. Supposedly this new, oh, sorry, there were a couple of questions. about that. So we make everything backwards compatible now. So I don't think that you have to update Ninja 8. That's the one test I didn't do. Uh, that's all right. I got another machine I can test it on that's still got the old NT8 on it. But yeah, I'll run that test in the update email, which will actually contain proper instructions and whatnot. I'll include a little bit about that at the top, whether or not you have to update. I don't think that you do, but it's best that you do. There's no reason why you wouldn't, is there? Do you have a couple of DLLs that aren't working with the new one yet because of the .NET 4.8? At any rate, I would update NT8 ASAP. It supposedly runs a little bit better with multi-core, multi-threaded. It supposedly makes better use of multi-threading. I suppose that's true because the guy that told me would know. So maybe that's why I'm able to run 9 workspaces now. Nah, it's more so the tabbed workspaces. I can't run 9 of these workspaces that have all of the minute charts separated. All right, but I can with the tabbed workspaces. As long as Blackbird is not on. If I turn Blackbird on all of them, I don't think it would, pretty sure it would slow down. See, we haven't had that much volatility today either. So today is a little bit kind of a normal day, really. And yes, you're most welcome for the ES one tick stop out. Let's just see. Where might we stop? I don't like that. I think that's the opening bar. No, that's news. Well, it's the same slope, so. Yeah, that would be where we would have some trouble. I've got a short signal right now in the ES. I think it's a little bit early. I think we'll make 35.72, but I really shouldn't have that short signal because where's the market geometry signal? Unless it had it for a brief moment and then it just deleted. Jared, I don't plan on running 9. No, I know. Nobody could handle 9. I mean, it's hard enough handling 4. 4 is too much. When you're starting out, 1 is plenty. Unless, of course, you're doing swing trading, which I hope a lot of you will start to move to. The monitor that I use is the new Dell Ultra Sharp 25-inch. And I spent my last dollar on it. I'm not very frugal, even when I need to be. Man, I spent my life savings on moving us over to NT8, and that is not a joke. Every last penny. I thought it would take 12 months. I think it took 40. I don't even have pocket money. But that's all right. I'm going to start trading soon. So, just to be completely upfront and honest with the rest of you guys that are left, I am going on a working sabbatical January 4th through March 11th. I'm going to go someplace in the middle of nowhere in southern France where nobody knows your name. And I doubt any of them speak any English. Maybe a couple young people here and there do. I think it's 1,200 people or something that live there. I think I'll rent a car long enough to drive around for a week, and then I'll take it back and drop it off, and that'll be it. And then all I'm gonna do is crank out content and design the 2021 stuff. So I'm gonna go there for 66 days and plan out the entire year, design all of the specs for the volume analyst. Of course, I'll be working closely still with everyone. I'll be doing some of the analysis live, but I won't be well, I can't exactly say I've been working a ton in there, can I? But I will have everything set up appropriately, properly. We'll be moved over to a new website. We'll have proper course material. We'll have a free course for everyone on risk management and money management. At least part of it will be free. I'm thinking, that's my thought process, just to get people to sign up free and make sure that people understand what they're getting themselves into and stop all this foolishness about getting rich quick, because it's foolishness. There is no get rich quick unless you win the lotto, but I've tried. It's unwinnable. And there is the low in crude. I've even got half a long signal. Let's see. Do I take it? I told you I'd take it. But see, there I go. I was just talking up a storm. There it is. That's the one. Yeah, I should have taken it, but I should have been watching it. That was the low volume node, just 2 ticks off the VWAP, 2 ticks off of the perfect area, right where the median line intersects the channel line. I mean, that's for as small a trade as it is, it still shows up on the 2-minute. So it does show up on the 2-minute. I just don't have the market geometry signal because I don't allow that to back paint. But oh yeah, no, I don't. That's the signal from 8:45 or whatever. 9:16. That's the signal from the previous low. This one. I'm sorry, I'm not even on the right screen. 1 second. Yeah, well, just to show you quick on the 2-minute, you see how it's giving you the signal on the row 1? It's because the operative time frame is the 2-minute. And if I drew this one, then you kind of get the signal on the market geometry, but it's just too big of a throw over. And when I say throw over, I mean it's gone through the area, which is that channel line, but you've got the median line perfectly there. See? Even have extreme churn just before the low. And then of course you've got the long, half of the long signal here. Pretty neat. Pretty cool stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna go. There's still fairly good internet. I mean, it's I think 50 megabytes, something like that. But I'll probably get a hotspot anyway. Yeah, I mean my life has been totally upheaved and upended and uprooted. It's been a hell of an experience, but I've learned a lot. I've learned what not to do and what kind of woman I really want and what kind of woman I don't want, which I think was a pretty important thing to learn. And now I must move on, which sucks. But life is just one big learning experience after another, isn't it? And it's all to mold you and fashion you into what you'll become. So, or not become. But man, it's rough. Well, it's rough when you're an emotional, sensitive little being like myself. I'm real sensitive. Like a 90-year-old Chinese woman. Just cry for no reason. I wish it was like a box of cherries It's like a box of chocolates. Anyway, that's the low in crude, obviously, but who says you can't anticipate what the market's going to do? Oh, that's right. All the guys in the ivory towers that teach everybody how to lose money for a living. For a living. For a non-living? All the morons. Crime mode is always on. We'll add a switch for 2021. I do wish I wasn't so sensitive, though. I mean, my gosh. I've even cried on air before. No, that's embarrassing. I can cry right now if you want me to. Seriously. I'll do it. That's right, baby. 2021, Daniel Rowe 2.0. We'll have a brand new Dan Rowe show to go with Dan Rowe 2.0. 2021, don't you know? All right, you guys, I'm going to cut it right there before I get really weird and actually do start crying. So, you lovely people have a wonderful rest of your day. I missed some questions. Jared, at this point, but I wouldn't want the processor to be bottlenecked. Evidently, yeah, I was reading about that last night when I was wanting to reply to you. The 5900X is evidently, in certain cases, more powerful than the 5950. So I think for what we're doing, at least I'm sorry, they said for certain games. Now, we're not playing games, but at least I'm not. Last game I played, I think, was Pac-Man. Nope, Super Mario Brothers. That's not true. It was Mario Kart. I might just get the 5900X. I don't feel like breaking out $800 for a processor or whatever it is, if you can even get it. I imagine the 5900X will not be as easy to get, but if you want to get one right now and you don't mind paying $711, then I would get the 3950X because that one is evidently quite solid. Does anyone have any experience with the Threadripper stuff? Are any of you with our workspaces using Threadripper? No one out there? Anyone? Because I'm curious how that actually performs. I know the base clocks are a bit lower. Most of them are like 3.0. Yeah, I mean, they've even got one that's 12 cores, and I thought the whole idea behind Threadripper was like 18 cores and up or 16 cores and up. But evidently there's one that's 12 cores. But I just don't know, how that all plays out. I do know which graphics card I'm going to get though, and the next graphics card I get at some point will be the the W. It's the workstation version of what we have. It's the workstation version of the 5700. So I think it's the WX 5700, the AMD Radeon Pro. Okay, if you missed the long and crude, this is your last opportunity to get in. And I don't want to say that as if I'm giving advice on what you should do, but that's what you would call demand coming in at a low right there. And I haven't seen such a beautiful case of it in quite a while. That doesn't mean it's going to stop there. Every single trade at any moment can turn at the drop of a dime. So regardless of your statistics, which do matter, which are most important, in spite of your statistics, every single trade has its own 50-50, because big volume can come in at any time and totally annihilate that trade. That's not to say that your overall probability to win or whatever, or any of your statistics will ever equal 50% or 0.5. It just means that every single independent trade all by itself is always a coin toss. Does that make sense? Tim, Ruth, Danny? He got the 24 core? Holy mackerel. Danny, what do you have? Doesn't seem like 3.65 is much of an overclock. Oh, you got the first Ryzen. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think you'll have to. But again, once the volume analyst is finished, a lot of this is going to be irrelevant. The one thing that will always remain relevant is the graphics cards relative to the monitors. So how many displays do you want to run? If you're just going to run two 4K displays, it doesn't matter. If you're only going to run four 1080p displays, it doesn't matter. But if you're going to get over four monitors and you're going to get upwards of six or more, then everything matters. So I just like having six. I got to have it. I used to have eight. I think that was a mistake. Yeah, and I wouldn't get all crazy with the monitors unless you really care about your eyes. And you don't need super fast refresh rate. 60 might be part of the reason I have a headache. I wouldn't go over 75. It's just not necessary. But 75 might be a good idea if you're only going to run, less 4 or less. Setting it to 75. It may not be that noticeable to you in the short term, but I think in the long term, it's supposed to be better for your eyes. I don't know. I really don't even know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so I've got 6 25-inch Dell Ultra Sharps, which are not cheap. And if there were any questions I missed, we'll talk about it tomorrow, or just call me. So my number is on the website at the bottom, but it's also right here. And I'll try to keep it under 30 minutes because I've got a lot of work to do. But yeah, if you any of you guys want to get started tomorrow, call me now, and we'll figure it out. Okay. All right. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow at 8:30. Bye, everyone. Y'all have a good one. Trade safe. And looks like crude is failing. Yeah. Maybe not. We'll see. All right. Y'all have a good one. Bye now.